This is Paul of the NWO is Bunk channel once again. And I finally got around to reading the MIAC report today. I'd been hearing so much about the MIAC report, and it occurred to me that I hadn't read it. So I hunted it down, and I was expecting to be absolutely horrified and absolutely disgusted and absolutely shaken to my core. I read it today, and I found it about as riveting as an encyclopedia article. From what I've heard from the likes of Alex Jones, Glenn Beck, and others, this was a primer for police officers telling them that conservatives, anybody who was leaning a little right these days, was a terrorist or a white supremacist. The message that I heard was that ordinary Americans with a certain point of view were being dressed up as the devil. I'm going to link to the report in the sidebar, and you should read the report for yourself. I'm going to give you my take on it, and many of you that are Alex Jones, NWO, Illuminati, Resistor, 9/11 inside jobbers aren't going to like it. I realize that. I haven't even made 10 videos yet, but I've already taken plenty of abuse, and I'm ready for more. Alex is crying wolf again. All of this hysteria is basically about something that reads like an encyclopedia article, and essentially that's what it is. This is an encyclopedia article written by a government agency. It's not that interesting. It's just a rough overview of the militia movement. This report, and I think this is important to understand, isn't about everyday Americans that have Ron Paul bumper stickers on their cars, like it's been represented. It's about the militia movement and the culture within the militia movement. This is relevant now because militias are a lot more visible now due to the liberal government expanding administration we have in Washington now. In fact, a lot of the rhetoric I'm hearing currently from militia types is identical to the rhetoric I heard when Bill Clinton was in office during the 90s. For the most part, I think most militia members are mostly just goofballs who like guns a lot. They're pretty harmless, but for a small number of them, this NWO stuff isn't a hobby, and they are willing to kill and maim to stop it from happening. Those of you who listen to Alex Jones have to realize that the rhetoric about an NWO that wants to kill and subjugate isn't benign. Some may be driven to preemptively strike at these central banker vampires, whatever you want to call them, and it's not outside the realm of possibility that a police officer who isn't aware that he's a pawn of the NWO or that an NWO even exists may catch a bullet in the head. So I think it makes sense to give law enforcement officers an idea of the culture of the militia movement. I think most law enforcement officers know a Ron Paul for President bumper sticker isn't probable cause to pull a vehicle over. And much is made of the fact that the report mentions Chuck Baldwin, Bob Barr, and Ron Paul as politicians that militia members tend to support. That's accurate. The report was talking about those three politicians in the context of support in the militia movement. I don't think that was meant to demonize your average person that supports Ron Paul or wants to end the Fed. But it probably wasn't wise of them to mention those names. However, it's undeniable that those three have a lot of support on the fringes. I myself have seen some pretty rabid Ron Paul support on Stormfront and VNN Forum, which are white supremacist forums. I think Alex Jones and others are making a mountain out of a molehill here. They're not using common sense. They're not looking at this rationally. And that's the main problem that I have with people like Alex Jones and Glenn Beck. They're not looking at things rationally. They're not looking at things calmly. And I think that's vital right now. We need to look at things calmly. You're welcome to flame me and claim whatever you like, but before you do, read the report, which I've linked in the sidebar. Peace, and let us be free of all anxiety and senseless fear.